Good morning. Officer Derek Lang, Tampa Police Department. Kicking off Thursday morning session, or the beginning of the conference today, with Deputy Rebecca Rosenblatt from San Mateo County Sheriff's Department. Sorry. She is situated in the heart of the Silicon Valley. Deputy Rosenblatt has worked in law enforcement in the past 9 years. Her most current assignment, spanning the past 2 years, has been the first full-time sworn public information officer for the San Mateo County Sheriff's Office. Her selection as PIO has allowed her to build the position from the ground up, and amongst other things, her undertaking was moving the Sheriff's Office to the world of social media. Deputy Rosenblatt was a guest blogger at the International Association of Chiefs of Police, the Social Media Beat, and is a board member of the Bay Area Law Enforcement Social Media Group. Please welcome Deputy Rosenblatt.
Good morning. I'm going to do this old school with the space bar, so bear with me. Okay, can everybody hear me? Yeah? So just to gauge who we have, I know it sucks to have to raise your hand, but small agencies, or what you would consider a small agency? Okay, medium size, and then the big ones? Oh, okay, all right, so fairly evenly distributed. All right, perfect, thank you. I was at SmileCon a couple years ago. We were lucky enough to have it in the Bay Area. So my SmileCon piece of advice to the room is, if another agency says, hey, I have a picture of you, don't open it. Even though you're at SmileCon and it seems like that makes sense, which is what I thought, and then I give a virus to everybody in the room. So make sure, unless it's an agency that you know, even if it's somebody that might be here, good rule of thumb, always, if someone says they have a picture of you, even if you're at a social media conference, maybe just make sure it's actually from them before you open it. So that's my gift to you. If you get nothing else out of my presentation, I might have saved you right there. Anyway, as was said in the introduction, my name is Rebecca Rosenblatt. I am a deputy with the San Mateo County Sheriff's Office. We're located in the San Francisco Bay Area, kind of in the heart of Silicon Valley. So yesterday when I dropped off my dog at the dog boarding place, I was sitting at the stoplight in front of Facebook, and I was just thinking, you know, how ironic it was as I'm looking at one hacker way, which is where they're located, that I was coming here. We're very lucky to have a lot of the social media giants, as well as technology giants, right down the street, whether it be Facebook or Twitter or anywhere else. So what I'm here to talk to you about today is basically how we do social media in the Bay Area where I come from, as far as it pertains to law enforcement. I'm just going to throw out a couple of ideas of what we do, and there's no right way ultimately to do social media, to do tweeting, to do Facebook, or whatever platforms you use. This is just what works for us, and if it inspires some of you, so be it, and just kind of get your wheels turning first thing in the morning here. So before I was a PIO, I was actually a real cop. That's my dog. I was a canine handler. I don't know if we have any former canine handlers in the room, but obviously quite a diverse career change from being a canine handler to my current position. I worked for the Millbrae Police Department. We were a smaller agency, probably less than 20, real small. And as with many communities, we suffered some financial hits, and our city disbanded our police department, and we were all laid off. We were fortunate enough to be taken over by the Sheriff's Office, so we're one of the contract cities that our Sheriff's Office right now represents in the Bay Area. And that was how I came to the San Mateo County Sheriff's Office. Originally, I worked in our men's facility as well as our women's facility. You can learn a lot working in a jail. And it was from there that I tested for this new position that we were starting out, which was a full-time sworn public information officer. When I put in for it, honestly, I didn't think I really had a shot. I just thought it sounded really interesting. I did Facebook and Twitter personally, Facebook more so than Twitter. So I was aware of that, and I had seen a little bit how it could be used in terms of the job that we all do, and just thought it seemed like a really good resource. When I went to do my interview ahead of time, I had looked at the San Mateo County Sheriff's Office on Facebook, and what I found was a group, I would assume started by some young women, because when you open it, it said boys are hot. And so when I went and I interviewed with members of my command staff and told them all the reasons that I wanted to be the first PIO, I asked them if they had looked at our Facebook page. And then I told them what happens if you do look at it. Needless to say, it has since been taken down. Facebook realizes that we're the authentic San Mateo County Sheriff's Office. But it was a really good moment of learning, I would say, because once I did get this position and started tweeting and Facebooking and getting our online presence for our sheriff's office, I realized something that probably a lot of you already realize, is that whether or not you're actively engaging your community using social media, they're talking about you. Before we had Twitter, when we had a Twitter handle with one follower, which was the individual at our agency that had the presence of mind to save it for us back when, in speaking with a couple of other local agencies, they said, do you think that people are talking about the sheriff's office? And I was like, no. And, you know, we put in the sheriff's name and the county and so forth, and we saw that people were talking about us. We just weren't involved in the conversation. So now we are, and I think that that's really important, is that people are going to be talking about you and your agency and things that are going on, so why not be a part of it, as opposed to letting them craft the message. You obviously are the expert at what you do, so therefore you should probably be the one commenting on things that are going on at your agency. So that was kind of the joke, is that I went from working the dog, working the jails, to being everywhere with my 2 phones. This picture was taken a couple weeks ago by a local news reporter. It was kind of the joke, so I decided, joke's on him, I'm going to use it for the presentation. So that's me. The phones are always ringing, days, nights, holidays, weekends, days on, days off. I'm sure most of you can relate. This is where we are on Facebook. We are at SMC Sheriff on Twitter. And primarily for my agency, this is how we get our message out. I know there's a variety of other formats, whether it be Instagram or Flickr or anything else that everybody's using. Like I said, there's no right way, but these are primarily the formats that we use. Also because, like I said, I'm kind of a one-man band. I wanted to make sure that whatever I did do, that I did well, and that takes a good amount of my time as it is. So we may expand in the future, but right now this is what we do. If something active is happening in our community, most likely the first thing that I'll do is I'll get a tweet out. I know most of our local media follows our Twitter handle, and it used to be when I first started that if something was happening, immediately my phone would start blowing up and my email would start blowing up, and of course I'd have to talk to the people on scene from my own agency, and there's only so much that you can do, especially when something really important is happening and you need to get the message out. So what I quickly realized was, for us, if I could put out even minimal information on Twitter and get the media to understand that that could be their go-to resource for the sheriff's office, for information, for the information that they wanted, it would make everybody's life a lot easier. They would be happy because they were getting information, and I would be happy because I could do my job. So traditionally what happens is I'll send out a tweet. Depending on how lengthy the incident is, there may be a press release which will get posted on our San Mateo County Sheriff's Office website. The link to that will then be put back on Twitter, and we may put information on Facebook, depending, different audiences, obviously, on both. So the whole idea is to get people engaged and keep them engaged on all the different formats, kind of bring them in and keep them in, and hopefully, even if they're only interested in, you know, perhaps Twitter or Facebook, to kind of get them engaged in all the variety of the resources that we offer. So when it's the big one, unfortunately, we've had several major events in the Bay Area that garnished national notice. We had the Asiana plane crash that was obviously at the San Francisco airport. San Francisco airport is located in the northern part of San Mateo County. The way it works with us is the San Francisco Police Department has patrol functions, and then the Sheriff's Office, we have a group of investigators that work investigations over there. So when the Asiana plane crash happened, I personally was off. I just had surgery on my arm the day before, so I was laying on my couch watching what was going on, thinking in my medicated state, that I needed to get to work. So my other piece of advice is always make sure that you have a backup, because you never know when something catastrophic could happen. I will say that the NTSB did an amazing job utilizing Twitter primarily. They were tweeting every couple seconds sometimes. As you can see, pictures from the scene, keeping everybody updated as to what was going on. This particular picture that I got the screenshot, you can see was retweeted 221 times, and it's just a wheel. So it doesn't have to be anything fancy, but people want to know what's going on, as we all know. So they did, I thought, a really good job once they got the tweets started, keeping everybody so much as they could be, almost as if they were on the ground at the incident. We had another event a couple years ago, the San Bruno pipeline explosion. For those that don't know, I think it was pretty much all over. But unfortunately, San Bruno, a city in the northern part of our community, or our county, I should say, they had a gas pipeline explode in the middle of a quiet, fairly nice neighborhood. It just exploded, and as you can see, I mean, it was unreal. You could see smoke for miles. And again, this is a perfect example of nobody would have ever expected in the middle of a neighborhood for this to happen. Initially, when it came out, people thought it was a plane crash. It was getting reported in different locations because, as you can probably tell from the pictures, it was so catastrophic, miles away. And this is a perfect example of a situation where you can alleviate a lot of the misinformation and rumors and fear and so forth with just, a tweet or a Facebook post. So both examples of you would never expect when you come to work in the morning that something like that could happen, and then all of a sudden you're on the forefront of national news. So opposite of that, not everything is catastrophic. It's about making your presence on social media, making it so that the community knows that you are there every day, so that if something happens, whether it be the big one or something mundane, they have you to look towards, and they know that you'll be there to put their mind at ease or get them the information that they're looking for. We had a power outage. There was a transformer fire, I guess, a couple blocks away. Oops. Try this again. Anyway, there was a transformer fire, and all of a sudden the power went out at County Center. We have, this is part of our County Center building. We have the jail across the street, we have courts, we have a lot going on day to day. On this particular day, it was early afternoon, and we had, I believe, three different cases that we were trying to impanel jurors for. So obviously lots and lots of people. Just a little bit after lunch, all the normal comings and goings of a busy sheriff's office, and all of a sudden the power goes out. We have hundreds of people that don't know where to go, are potentially coming to our facility, are at our facility, inside, outside. It was a little bit crazy there for a minute. Obviously, all the different county agencies need to very quickly communicate and get on the same page, whether it be the people that do the utilities or reaching out to PG&E and so forth. So I took that opportunity to get information out on Facebook and Twitter, hoping that the people, at least some of the people that would be affected by this, would see it and know, potentially, oh, okay, I'm not going to go there today, and hopefully alleviate the craziness of how many people would be coming if people knew that we were closed for the day, essentially. So that was how we handled that. And it worked out really well because, as you can tell, there were shares and comments and so forth. And within a couple seconds after me posting the information, people were already asking questions and comments, and it seemed to be really effective. Case in point, obviously every community is different. I know that we're all from different parts of the country and further. But sometimes on a scene it can be chaotic trying to reach out to the involved, I guess, the resources that you need, whether it be finding people shelter in a fire, or finding out the time estimate for the power to come back on, or the variety of different ancillary resources that we use in an event. So case in point, I mentioned PG&E, in our tweet, and they actually responded. which they've done a couple times. So I think it just shows that not even just law enforcement, everybody is kind of getting on the bandwagon here with realizing that this is a really good way to reach out to the community and convey information. This is another example of something that kind of happens day to day. I assume we all have car crashes wherever we work. I think it's kind of universal that there's bad drivers everywhere. One that has come up both in the small jurisdiction I used to work for and the very large county that I work for now is, and I'm sure we all have this, the neighbor that comes out and says, oh, is there something going on? People always want to know, right? It doesn't matter if you have a SWAT team storming next door, or it's 12:30 at night and you're out there, with your flashlight knocking on doors. There's always those people that think that they need to be involved, which is fine. We're here to serve. That having been said, social media can assist with that. Again, if you have a social media presence and people know that they can look to you for information real time, you can utilize that. This was an example. The San Mateo Police Department is a municipal police department in our community. They had a auto pedestrian fatal car crash, and they were updating information about the incident to quell the, oh, is there something going on? As well as traffic information and utilizing the public as a resource when they were looking for a suspect vehicle, getting that information out there. It's one thing to have, the annoying person that wants to know what's going on, and it's another to turn it around and say, wait, let me use 1,000 of these people to augment the eyes and the feet that I already have on the ground. Obviously, if you have 1,000 people that have free time and want to go look for your bad guy and help you find them, it's a great resource. Capitalize on that. Another agency, Mountain View, it's in Santa Clara County, which is immediately south of us. This was a good incident because it involved many jurisdictions. The San Francisco Police Department, which is one county north, they were looking for some shooting suspects, ended up in a vehicle pursuit, foot bail. They ended up in Mountain View. Among all the variety of things the Sheriff's Office does, we have a transit bureau that handles primarily buses and trains. It spans over 3 counties. So the gentleman that we have proned out on the ground is one of our transit officers, who happens to be, transit deputies, who happens to be SWAT trained, so it's perfect timing for him to be out on duty. And then the canine handler is from the Mountain View Police Department. The foot bail occurred in their jurisdiction, and Mountain View does a great job with social media as well, and they had the presence of mind to put out just a simple map, which is not anything I don't think that any of us here couldn't do. And again, let people know what's going on. Let them know, hey, if you don't want to be in the middle of something really dangerous, here's a couple block radius you might want to avoid for the next couple hours, and we're going to let you know when it's okay. It helps us because it keeps them out of what we're going through. Helps them because they don't want to be in the middle of some, crazed gunman potentially. And it takes, 2 seconds to draw a square on a map and send it out. And then obviously it's very effective. You can note on the right 498, 99, so about 500 people liked their efforts for that. So I would say it was well worth their while and very complimentary as well. So this was pretty recent. I was actually in a social media class, and the phone started ringing, which is always how I know. We had a Ponga boat. I know at least a few of you are maybe from the southern part of this country. Basically what they do is the drug runners, they bring the illegal narcotics up from Mexico and they bring it to our fair country. But I guess Southern California was doing a really good job with busting them at the beaches. So they decided to move up north a little further and try their luck with the Bay Area and see if we weren't keen to what they were doing. So we've been dealing with that recently. Anyway, as you can see, we have the SUV there stuck in the middle of the beach on our beautiful coastline. And so as we would imagine, people called 911 and they said, hey, we think maybe there's something weird going on. We're walking our dog and there's a car in the middle of the sand. So, we went out and we looked at it. And what it turned out to be was that these individuals had attempted to bring over 1,000 pounds of marijuana up to our coastline. And unfortunately, their vehicle got stuck in the sand. Doesn't it suck when you're trying to bring 1,000 pounds of illegal narcotics and your car gets stuck in the sand? So unfortunately for them, they didn't stick around so that we could ask them about how bad their day was going. But we were happy to assist and take that off their hands. So being at this class, not being on scene, it would have been kind of a lengthy drive for me to get there. It wouldn't have been practical. I sent out a tweet. SMC Sheriff out at Pescadero State Beach this morning after a report of a suspicious vehicle and boat turned up a large quantity of marijuana. This is nothing crazy. It's not anything that's going to ruin your investigator's case. It's really not even that much information, but it's enough that the phone immediately slowed. The picture of the SUV on the sand was, if you went to NBC Bay Area News, that was their website for a good amount of time, just that picture. And then the following day, I started seeing all the articles later that day, but this was from the following day, where they will actually take a screenshot of your tweet, and that will be their story. So it's one thing to say, you're crafting the message. You're really crafting the message. This happens to us all the time, more so when the patch reporters, I think everyone kind of has patch, or used to, when they were more active in our area, invariably I would see literally word for word in my press releases were their article. I have absolutely no problem. You can plagiarize me all day long. I'm happy to write your articles because it means that I know that the information that we're putting out there is factual. It's coming from the horse's mouth, obviously. In law enforcement, I think, there's this stigma with, the reporters are out to get us or they don't care about the truth. In my experience, on a case-by-case basis, yeah, but, with a case-by-case basis, there's those of us in law enforcement that probably don't represent us the way that we would like to be represented. But the majority of the time I found that, as they say, feed the monster. The reporters know that I am available, very available, to give them their information in a timely manner, and they're happy to accept it. Obviously, they want to do credible, honest, good reporting. So if I'm giving them the information, they're happy to accept it and turn that into their stories. We all have a job to do, so if we can all work together and make all of us look good and happy, it's all the better. We do represent more than the coast. We have a very large and diverse county. Unfortunately, there's just been a lot on the coast lately, especially that pertain to giving this talk this morning. So this was, I think, this past weekend. I get a call from the supervisor on the coast. Hey, we had a boat. It hit a whale, and we went out there and they self-rescued. It was nothing, but the lieutenant just wanted me to give you a heads up. Okay, cool, thanks. So I thought about it and I was like, well, I didn't really have anything to tweet today. There's not a lot going on. I think it was a Saturday, Sunday maybe. I thought, I'll put it out there. They sent me a good picture of a boat. I want to show the guys I appreciate them sending me these pictures. Keep it going. And so I tweeted it. It got retweeted 32 times. Obviously, it was a slow news day. That end, I think it touched people on a lot of notes, whether it be that they were boating enthusiasts or they cared about the whale. So either way, again, 5 people self-rescued after their boat collided with a whale off the coast of Pescadero. Whale and boaters appear to be okay. I know my community, I think I know my community, and I knew that if I put anything about a boat hitting a whale, the first question I would get was, oh my God, is the whale okay? Second would be, oh, are the boaters okay? So I definitely wanted to make sure that I got that messaging in there. Again, it's no skin off my back to give them the information that they want. That's my job, ultimately. So, and sure enough, if you'll note, bottom right, we believe it swam off and is okay, she said. So I guess I was pretty accurate on that. So again, I didn't put out a press release. I did a tweet. In the middle of my day, as I'm doing my errands, I sent a tweet, and it became news. We have this company Tbis we use. I don't know if anybody else uses them. They're awesome. I have the search parameters as my name, my sheriff, my undersheriff, assistant sheriff, our sheriff's office, about 10 different parameters. Apparently there's a San Mateo County in Mexico as well, because often I hear what's going on there. Anyway, if you don't have it, it's worth looking into. It's not very expensive, and you can see anytime the media mentions whatever search terms you put in there for TV news, radio, print media. So it's good to see what people are saying about you. Definitely worth the investment, we found. Anyway, I used that to see what kind of reach this story had gotten out of my own curiosity. And I saw that it was actually picked up all over the country, including all the way to New York. We're in California. So that's a pretty good reach for a story that came from taking 15 seconds to send out a tweet. We have a saying, I'm pretty sure we're not the only ones, that everything that you put out there, think of it like a press release. Every agency does it different. I'm not downplaying. If you want to have like a high school intern or something help you with your social media, go for it. There's no right way. But just be mindful that even if theoretically you're an agency that's kind of new to the social media scene, you have to remember that you need to trust who's putting out your information and make sure that it's the information that you want put out there, because I very often will have the news media credit things to Facebook, to Twitter. We have internal messaging, SMC alerts, San Mateo County, for emergency stuff, and to them it's all press releases, so definitely be mindful of that. Mountain lions. Anybody have mountain lions in their jurisdiction? Might just be us. So, I don't know, you can make the equivalent, I guess down here would be alligators maybe. I'm really hoping to get out of here without seeing any. I don't have my gun on me. So, not that I would ever kill an alligator for anybody listening at home. Anyway, we have mountain lions in our communities, both in our incorporated and our unincorporated areas. In the county, we get mountain lion sightings all the time. When you live in an area and the mountain lions live in the area, once in a while your paths are going to cross. That's the way it works. Kind of like moving out to a golf course and then getting upset when a ball goes through your window. This just happens. We're in their community. Anyway, Mountain View Police Department, in our or just outside our jurisdiction, they had a mountain lion. When I first saw it, I thought, really, we're going to start tweeting about a mountain lion? If I tweeted about a mountain lion every time we got a call about a mountain lion, it would be the Mountain Lion Sheriff's Office. But when I really looked into what they had going, they actually had a mountain lion that was in a residential community kind of near their downtown, near an apartment complex, under a car, I believe in a carport, hiding. He was scared, probably. I can't read mountain lion mind, but I would assume. And so I withdrew my cynicism and realized, okay, this is probably important that they tweet this. They did a great job. They got the information out about the mountain lion incident for the what's going on, people. They talked about keeping people out of the area. They talked about how they were handling the incident. Again, as we all know, people love their animals. When I first started this position, there was a mountain lion, a juvenile mountain lion, that was shot by, I believe it was fishing. It wasn't us, is the important part. And I started getting all these phone calls about, oh my God, we need to know who killed Simba. And first of all, Simba was a lion. It was not a mountain lion. But we did not kill Simba. That was not our agency. And obviously, there's a lot more, powers at work when dealing with a dangerous animal. So the Mountain Lion Police Department, regardless if they knew about the fallout from that incident or not, had the presence of mind to keep the community informed about how they were handling this, let them know that all best efforts were going to be made to keep the community safe and keep the mountain lions safe. And to handle the incident. It actually went for hours. By the end of it, the mountain lion in Mountain View was trending worldwide, so I would say it was an effective effort. And if anybody's interested later, you can look at all the tweets. People actually started really coming up with some funny ones, which I didn't think were prudent to share for the message that we're dealing with today, but afterwards, I can definitely show you. There may have been some comments about cougar night. I don't know. So, and again, helicopters, that's another thing I'm sure that we've all had to deal with. I've been to the classes where they talk about, different ways that you can manage when the media is in your crime scene and the helicopters and the planes and calling the FAA and so forth. And I'm not saying that that's not all very effective. In this case, news stations, if you have a helicopter in our area, please stay clear of the area. It will help us deal with the mountain lion. Thank you. 53 retweets, 54 favorites. So really, if you're the news media and that's your helicopter, do you want to be the one that just got called out, that you're going to be the one that's responsible for Simba getting killed? No. So I would say highly effective in this case. And then also discussing, we have a game warden on scene. Another win that came out of this incident for them was that it was found that the mountain lion had some type of tracker, former canine handler. So I was like, oh, it's an e-collar. It wasn't an e-collar. But it had some type of tracking device on it. So obviously there was some other agency that had crossed paths with this mountain lion previously, and both through their own good internal fact-finding as well as somebody reaching out to them actually on social media, they were able to link up with the mountain lion, I guess, rescue agency or whatever it was, that was inevitably able to come out and help them with this incident. So, like I said, diverse amount of resources, reasons. Get the information out there, use the public as a resource, keep people informed, help yourself by keeping people out of the area that really don't want to be there and wouldn't be there if you just let them know what was going on. So this is a picture, MV Puma safe. That's the hashtag if you want to look at it. And he's taking a little cat nap. I know, bad joke. 228 retweets, 198 favorites. They just wanted to know that the little guy was okay. And he was. It wore off, and they let him go, I guess, a little later in his natural habitat, which was San Mateo County. Thank you. Anyway, watching at Mountain View PD handle MV Puma on social media. Class act. Wishing humans and large cat a peaceful resolution tonight and always. And a little heart sign. It's awesome to hear that Mountain View PD is handling the Puma situation gracefully. MV Puma. I mean, we talk about, going to work in the morning, and if you want to get a thank you, be a firefighter. At least we say that. People are reaching out, and they're saying they're happy with what we're doing. They're saying that we're doing a good job, and they appreciate our efforts. How often in law enforcement does that happen? So I would say that this is definitely us going in the right, positive direction, both for helping internally and giving the public what they want externally. Missing people. Again, this was something I was pretty sure applied to all jurisdictions. I'm pretty sure people go missing everywhere that we all work. Social media is a fabulous resource for missing people. I didn't want to call, any victims out by, putting screenshots of the success that we've had with disseminating pictures and information on missing persons, largely because a lot of them have been found. But if somebody goes missing, the detectives will reach out to me, and we have track flyers. Get the track flyer, get the most recent picture of the individual, any pertinent information, and we get it out on Facebook. Everybody and their mother, including my mother, is on Facebook. So if you reach out to Facebook and you say, look, we have this person, particularly if they're like at risk or young or really old, really any reason people want to help, you're saying, hey, can you help us? Can you be our eyes on the ground? We can't be in every community. We can't be every place this person may have been taken to or gone to, and we're asking you to help us bring them home. We're deputizing you, essentially. Help us. And it has been super helpful to us in that effort. We've had, I couldn't even say, 25, 30, 35, 40, 50,000 people look at the information on Facebook. We've had, tons and tons of retweets. And those of us who use Facebook, which I assume because we're a social media conference, it's almost everyone in this room, you look down and you can just scroll and see all the people and that they're sharing. And so it's highly effective. If it isn't something that you're doing now, definitely please open your mind to it or speak to your investigators about it, because while it may frustrate them because it makes the phone ring a lot more because everybody knows this person or has seen them, ultimately, you know, that's what we get paid for. Even if it sucks, we get paid to do a good job and do our job well. And getting a missing person home is us doing our job, even if the phone rings a little more than we would like. If it's effective, it's effective, and this is effective. Conversely, found people. This instance was, I was given some really fantastic surveillance footage from a local gas station. You could really see the guy, see his tattoos, see his clothing, everything. So I got it out to the media. I got them the surveillance footage. I got the still footage on Facebook. I got it on Twitter. It went like wildfire. And within 24 hours, the guy decided to turn himself in because he couldn't get away from it. It was everywhere. Our investigators had gotten several people that had contacted them and said, hey, I know that shirt. I know that tattoo. So whereas historically that would probably be something that we would keep in-house, reach out to investigators at other agencies, which is still effective. This is another great example of using your community to be your eyes and ears on the ground. If they want to help, why not let them help us? Redwood City Fire Department, they do a fantastic job, primarily with tweeting during fires. They get some really good action shots. San Mateo County Sheriff's Office, our headquarters is actually in Redwood City. So there's a lot of crossover with us in the Redwood City Fire Department, the Redwood City Police Department sometimes for when incidents are occurring. Anyway, on this particular occasion, there was a machine shop fire. We got the information out there about how many alarms, because people really care about how many fire trucks are coming into their neighborhood. And we got the information out there when it was under control, when it was ongoing. And ultimately, it can be really good for getting information out, even to people that not only want to be involved and have nothing to do with it, but the people that are involved. So case in point, the Red Cross. You know, we got information out about where people that were displaced could go and the resources that they could find. Smoke goes everywhere. It doesn't care about jurisdictional boundaries. So if you have a big fire, 5, 6 alarms, and smoke is going everywhere, people want to know if it's toxic. They want to know if they can walk their dog or, you know, take their kids out to school, or if they have to shelter in place and cover the windows and so forth. So what better resource if you're stuck in your house afraid to go outside and breathe the air than to use social media to let them know, no, you're good, you can go outside, or maybe not so much. So we found that that was a really good resource in major fires, unfortunately, which we had kind of a handful of them in that jurisdiction. But knock on wood, we haven't had any recently, so I might have just cursed us. Anyway, in this instance, we'll go back for 1 second. We have, I don't know if you can see the cursor on there, maybe. Oops. 15 retweets just of this, I'll say artistic picture because I tweeted it. Not so good picture. It doesn't really show anything. It shows a fire truck. 15 retweets. So for those, especially my agency or any of your agencies that don't really understand social media, you know, they see, oh, 15 people. But then you look at who the retweets are. You have to remember, as most of us in this room already know, the retweets, just because it's 15 people, it's not 15 people. It's 15 entities that have any number of followers themselves. So when 15 people retweeted that information, case in point, 2 of those on that list, ABC 7 News, 102.8 thousand followers, KGO 810 News, 17.9 thousand followers. So that's 2 of the 15 that retweeted it. My message just went out to over 120,000 people. I mean, how can you do that any other way? That's not knocking on doors. That isn't, you know, calling somebody at the next agency over. That's this fast, 120,000 people, and a whole lot more because it's just 2 of the 15. Get the information that you want out there. Again, I would say it speaks for itself. Even if you have disbelievers at your agency, there's nothing you can say against this. I mean, I would love to hear it if you have something, but it's fact. So, thoughts for the future. Like I said at the beginning, there is no one right way, so just figure out the way that works best for you and don't be afraid to ask for help. In the Bay Area, we have something called BAIL-SMIG. We just decided to come up with the most easiest to say acronym, and this is what we came up with. It's the Bay Area Law Enforcement Social Media Group. At this point, I checked before I came. We have more than 50 local agencies in it, over I think 125, 130 law enforcement individuals. We have meetings every now and then. These are the agencies there at the bottom that primarily run it. And it's been a really good resource for us. I understand that there's a similar one now being started in Southern California, and I believe there's one on the East Coast. Especially in a community where you have, a lot of different jurisdictions that are buying into this social media thing, which is almost everywhere at this point. Use each other. What's one person's failure can just be that one person as opposed to everybody. If you have a group like this where you can come together and discuss things. I know that when I first started, I had some, little hiccups that I was trying to figure out with our page, such as people were, at the time, I think they were writing like reviews on the Facebook page, and I didn't know how to deal with that. I wasn't even sure if that was something I had to have or not, and at the time there was some nuance where you could take down the map, and it made, anyway, I never would have known, but somebody that had already gone through that at their respective agency responded to an email query within, a minute, and allowed me to fix that. Another jurisdiction in our county had somebody put up a picture of a butt on their Facebook page, which obviously is not something that you want when you go to your local police department or sheriff's office just to see a butt. And so they were able to reach out to the Bail Smith group at large and say, hey, has anybody ever had anything like this? How did you handle it? What can we do about it? And so forth. We have an email group that we have for situations like this where anybody that has any question can send, the group at large or the planning members questions. We're happy to help people because ultimately we've all been there, I think. Everybody's had a moment where you sent something accidentally to your professional Twitter handle instead of your personal one. Yeah. I've actually broken my arm twice. I'm not a klutz. One time was job related, one time was playing soccer. Anyway, after I got home with my bright, shiny purple cast, looking all sad and forlorn, I put a picture on what I thought was my personal Facebook page saying like it was just supposed to be a fun county soccer game, something like that, right? And post, and I go downstairs, get on my couch, and all of a sudden I have this weird nagging feeling, and I look, and sure enough, it's on the San Mateo County Sheriff's Office Facebook page. In the time it took me to get up 3 flights of stairs to take it off, I already had 3 likes and 1 get better soon. So we've all been there. And ultimately, someone else is going to do something worse tomorrow. So no matter how bad it is, it's okay. So I would suggest in your various communities, if you have a good working relationship with your adjunct agencies, or if you'd like to, creating a group like this is a fantastic resource. You don't have to worry about, people judging you. They'll judge you, but it's all in good fun. And we can be each other's best resources. You don't have to worry about, asking a dumb question because probably it's something that somebody else has encountered. So if you don't have something like this, I would strongly suggest making it. And if you have any questions, now you know how to get a hold of any of us. And speaking from experience, all these agencies are very happy to help anyone, anywhere, including myself. I always like to say the reporters call me at all hours every day of the week, and I like you guys a lot better. So feel free to call me or email or tweet or Facebook or anything. We did just get to 2,000 page likes on our Facebook page, which I know, especially for the bigger agencies, is not that much, but I was really happy and proud of us. Thank you. This past weekend, and we're almost to 4,000 on Twitter followers. So if you guys all follow the sheriff's office, you might be that agency that gets us over the edge, and I'll definitely throw you a shout out. Anyway, I appreciate you guys listening to me today. I've never been to Florida. I'm not very well traveled, so thank you for having me. And hopefully I at least got your wheels spinning. If you're already doing all this, then keep doing it. If you're not, then something to think about, and enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you.
We're going to take a quick break, and we're going to get set up for a panel with 6 of the social media monitoring groups that are going to present and give a little bit of information when we come back about each of their products.
Before we bring up